Hola, mis amores. It's Nory here, and today I want us to talk about self-love. I want us to talk about how can we love ourselves. I particularly want to share with you a little bit about my journey into self-love because I imagine that if you're watching this video, it's because your journey to self-love and my journey to self-love is a little similar. And I also imagine that perhaps hearing what it's like to go through this journey and navigate it can help you in your journey as well, because hearing other people's journey when I was trying to navigate self-love earlier in my process made a huge difference for me. And I want to make sure that other people can get that as well, because we all need more self-love. We all need to be able to just hug ourselves with a little more compassion and kindness, because we are responsible for ourselves and we are our number one priority always. So when I began this journey into self-love, I had no idea what self-love was. I had no idea what it meant to love myself. It sounded sexy and it sounded cute. I love myself. But I really didn't know what that meant. And at first, that was frustrating because everybody seemed to know what it meant to love themselves. And I had no idea. And if you are in your 30s and you have no idea what it means to love yourself, that can feel a little bit scary, because you feel like by now you should quote unquote have it together. And when you don't have it together, it feels like you're doing something wrong. It feels like something is missing in your life. And the first thing I had to learn about loving myself was that this idea of having it together was not exactly accurate. And I didn't have to believe it in that way. But I had become so accustomed to wanting to be the person that people saw as like, oh, Nori got it together, and nothing bothers her. She's always unbothered. That I had created this persona that was always unbothered, but underneath that, I was always bothered. And it feels like a fraud when you're doing that. It feels like you're faking it when people see you in a certain light, but you yourself know that there is a part of you that they don't see because you've purposely hidden that. And that's where I was when I realized that I don't know what self love is. And I talk about the death of my uncle a lot because his murder really turned things around for me. It really showed me that I was so disconnected from who I was. And a lot of times, we require a circumstance where we are so out of control to teach us what we do control and to help us see that loving ourselves is about us. A lot of times, I and my clients really think of self love as something external, which is kind of interesting. Like, loving myself is something external, but that's how we see love to be. I remember my mom, she's like one of the people that will always give her last. Literally, my mom will give somebody else her last before she gets it, even if she needs it. And I resented that about her for a while because I felt like that's not love. You're sacrificing yourself for people, but that doesn't mean that we are good. You're not taking care of us. And subconsciously, I learned to define love just like that, just like her. So I used to find myself constantly doing things for people in the hopes that they will love me. And when they will love me, that's what I thought love was. This conditional love. That's what I thought love was. And it took a while to shift from that mindset. And I want to tell you a little about how that happened. So after my uncle got murdered in Honduras in 2016, I believe, I went through this period of depression. And at the time, I didn't know this, but depression is actually a part of the stages of grief. So when we are grieving, depression may find itself there, but I'll talk about that in a different video. So I was going through depression for these 8 months, and it really forced me to look at what made me happy, what made me joyful, because there was not much that I thought did that in that moment. And that question, what makes you happy? Let me ask you right now, what makes you happy? What brings you joy? Like, if I took you in a room and I left you by yourself, how will you enjoy your time? Would you know what to do with yourself? Like, I really want you to think about that. Will you know what to do with yourself? I did not at the time. Did not know. I just knew that I worked at some place. I was married to somebody. I was doing something. I worked at some place. I had some connections, but I had no idea what was underneath all of that. So I literally had to go in this discovery process to get to know me. The journey of self love, as I have understood it, it has meant to reintroduce myself to myself. And every day I'm learning something cool about me. Like, I'm so freaking fascinating. And you are fascinating too. And a lot of times we don't know how fascinating we are because we are looking to be this person we have been painted to become. And that's not who we are. And we having a hard time separating ourselves from that. So when you begin to learn to love yourself, when I have learned to learn myself, you had to first start with determining, well, who am I? Who is this person and how is she? And do I like her? And there were some things I loved, like my smile and my sassiness and, my ability to say what I think. And there were some things I didn't love as much, like my hair or my weight or my response to criticism or people not liking me. Those were things I realized that I has a lot of challenges with. So by doing that, by taking a personal inventory, I was able to get clear on not only who I was, but how did I feel about the person I had become. And that to me is what self love has been about. It's about discovering who I am and accepting her for who she is. And in that journey of acceptance of Nory, I've realized that there are some things about her that I had seen as faults, I had seen as things that were not good, that actually make her a very amazing, unique, and caring person. And I've redefined self-love. And that's an invitation I really have for you is as you discover yourself and you get to know yourself, give yourself permission to love yourself in this different way. And it's okay to love who you are and want to change parts of yourself. It's okay that you love your home and you want to put up a painting there. It's okay that you love your computer, but you want to get a case for it. It doesn't change that. It's okay that you can change yourself. It's awesome that we can do that with ourselves. And that's what self love has meant to me. Loving myself has been this journey into being okay with where I am in this moment while simultaneously knowing that there are some things I want to change and changing those things with kindness, with compassion, and unconditional love for myself. Because that's what people really radiate to. That's what people connect to. And since I've been able to love myself more, people see the love. People see that I love myself, which is really interesting when people are like, I can tell you really love yourself. And I'm like, that's cool, but that's also a little weird. And it's possible for you. And I want nothing less than that for you. So if there's anything that I can do to help you, please let me know in the comments below. And I want to encourage you to love yourself a little bit more, to give yourself room to define what self-love means to you, to give yourself room to be uncomfortable on your own behalf, to give yourself room to let go of who you think you need to be, and to give yourself space to embrace the person that you're becoming in this moment. Because that person is extremely powerful and she wants to see you thrive in every shape and form. And I'm just grateful that you're giving yourself that opportunity. I do this work with my clients, helping female founders unleash their self-trust in 90 days. I have an entire system called the Self-Trust System. You can learn more about that over at theselftrustsystem.com if you're interested in your founder. But if you're not, you can also benefit from just knowing that it's okay to be where you are. It's okay if you don't know what self-love means just yet to you, because you're figuring it out. You're figuring it out. And that's what matters. Because if you commit to figuring it out, you will. You will figure it out. I committed to figuring it out, and I did. And I know the same thing can happen with you. Have an amazing rest of your day. Check out the Self-Trust System if you're a founder, a female founder, and want to learn more about it. Over at theselftrustsystem.com. and I will see you in the next video. Hasta luego.